Chapter 041. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Realm of ultimate supernatural power. The dark soul mountains teem with poisonous insects and monsters. Even powerful cultivators in their prime would be in serious trouble venturing in carelessly, and he was nowhere near that level. All he could do was watch Chuan disappear into the mountains. He followed cautiously, feeling his way forward. Chuan used the system to steer clear of the most dangerous monsters, found a secluded spot, and started working on replenishing his energy. He was a mess, completely drained. He had to stop and catch his breath. His escape from the cultivator was all thanks to the Xianyang Ju technique. Any other mortal transformation realm martial artist would have been caught by the Qin family ancestor for sure. An hour passed. Chuan finally bounced back, feeling strong again. I can't just keep running. I'll get caught. The Qin family ancestor definitely wouldn't let it go, that was a given, and before long, other cultivators in Linan County would get wind of it and come looking for him. Then, Chuan would be in a real bind. If he wanted to escape, he needed to take care of the Qin family ancestor on his tail first. He figured the old man was running on fumes, and now that he had the Heaven-tier killing god sword, he might be able to take him by surprise. A plan started to form in Chuan's mind. He deliberately let the Qin family ancestor spot him, then picked the perfect ambush location, hoping to lure the old man into chasing him there. Sure enough, the Qin family ancestor took the bait. Soon after Chuan set his trap, the ancestor followed him into a mountain gully. The kid's gotta be close. We can't let him get away this time, no matter what, the Qin family ancestor said grimly, starting to search for Chuan. Chuan suppressed his aura as much as possible. It wasn't as effective as the Jade Talisman, but it wasn't easy to find him either. The Qin family ancestor passed by Chuan's hiding place several times, never realizing he was right under his feet. Chuan held his position. He was waiting for the Qin family ancestor to let his guard down completely. That was the only way to guarantee a decisive strike. Otherwise, if the ancestor reacted, Chuan would be dead meat. Where's this little rat hiding? His trail ends here. He's gotta be around. I know he is. Just wait till I get my hands on you. I'll tear you to pieces and rip out your soul. The Qin family ancestor stood right above Chuan's hiding spot, his face purple with rage. He was already on his last legs, and the chase had worn him down even further. He was barely clinging to his realm, about to fall back into the mortal transformation realm. He couldn't accept that. He desperately needed spiritual crystals to break through and revitalize his body. Otherwise, death was the only outcome. That was why he was so desperate to catch Chuan. The longer Chuan remained hidden, the more anxious the Qin family ancestor became. He was so focused on catching him that he wasn't even thinking about protecting himself. Of course, he never imagined that Chuan was hiding underground. Now. Time to die, old man. Chuan, having awakened the true soul seeds of martial arts, possessed incredibly powerful spiritual senses. He had locked onto the Qin family ancestor's position. The instant the ancestor stopped above him, the killing god sword in Chuan's hand erupted with blinding light, bursting out of the ground in a flash. It was life or death. The deadliest move of the Heaven-tier killing god sword technique unleashed incredible power as Chuan gave it everything he had. The killing god sword sliced straight up from the Qin family ancestor's crotch, through his backside, cutting his lower body in half. The combined forces of great sun power, killing intent, and demonic energy exploded within the ancestor's abdomen. Arg! The Qin family ancestor screamed, bright red blood splattering the grass. Spare me. I swear I'll never come after you again. I'll give you everything the Qin family owns. Faced with death, the Qin family ancestor finally showed fear. He begged Chuan for mercy. Chuan wasn't buying it. Besides, when you die, doesn't everything you own become mine? World-dominating fist. Chuan punched what was left of the Qin family ancestor. The full force of the great sun power-infused fist hitting home. Boom. One punch was all it took. The Qin family ancestor was blown to bits, his flesh and blood scattered everywhere. Until his dying breath, he couldn't understand how a second-level mortal transformation realm cultivator could have such devastating power. The Qin family ancestor was quickly dispatched with one sword strike and one punch, and Chuan finally felt a wave of relief. he sat down on the ground, not caring about the blood and gore, and took deep breaths. The power of heaven-tier weapons is nothing to scoff at, he muttered, looking at the Chuan family ancestors' remains, but, while the power was great, it also cost him a lot. He had gone all out to use that attack. If anyone else at the second level of the mortal transformation realm tried that, they wouldn't even get to use the sword skill before they'd be beaten to death. After composing himself, Chuan grabbed the Chuan family ancestors' storage ring and ran. Now was not the time to relax. Linen County had more than one cultivator, and they were sure to be on their way, and those other cultivators weren't washed-up has-beens like the Chuan family ancestor. If he had stayed any longer, he might have faced several martial arts cultivators at their peak power, and then, he would have truly been between a rock and a hard place. He didn't have any bodyguards or guardians at his side. Just a few emergency measures they had set up, but he couldn't rely on others forever. His martial arts journey was his own, and he had to walk it himself. Just as Chuan had expected, only a few hours after he left, several men and women in different clothes appeared at the scene. Seeing the Chuan family ancestor's body torn apart on the ground, they were shocked and felt a chill run down their spines. Their faces were full of disbelief. This is the Chuan family ancestor. He was killed despite his realm of supernatural power, and the person who did it was so ruthless. The Chuan family ancestor's miserable state made the group hesitant to act. They were just a few ordinary first-level mortal transformation realm cultivators, the vanguard sent by various powers. Even the Chuan family ancestor was killed, let alone them. Carefully, they followed the trail left by Chuan, remaining vigilant. They were afraid that Chuan would jump out and kill them. The heavenly sword and spiritual crystal were tempting, but they needed to be alive to claim it, didn't they? See that even the ancestors of the Chuan family were tricked. They didn't want to die like him. They were still young and have a bright future. There was no need to work hard for something you are destined not to get. They all knew that from beginning to end they are just lackeys of those big shots. But there is no way. Everything is for life. Chapter 042. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Crisis point. That once his injuries healed enough, Chuan left the cave, heading deeper into the dark Soul Mountain range. By now, the outer edges of the range were swarming with people searching for him. These searchers included members of various factions from Linen County and freelance cultivators hired by the Chuan family. After learning that their patriarch had died at Chuan's hands, the Chuan family issued a bounty, offering rewards to anyone who could hunt him down. They were turning over every rock, leaving no stone unturned. It wasn't long before Chuan's trail was discovered. Sheriff, we found evidence of that kid's presence. A soldier in armor, holding a piece of Chuan's blood-soaked clothing, spoke to a man in a fine robe who radiated power. This was Lianan, the governor of Linen County, and the most powerful cultivator in the region, with a 9th-level supernatural power realm cultivation. The news about a heaven-level weapon and spiritual crystals had drawn him in, and he'd led his troops directly into the Dark Soul Mountain range to find Chuan. He took the bloodied cloth, considering it for a moment. Then, he summoned the head of the Chuan family, Dongshin. Master Chen, my men have found traces of this kid. What do you want done with him when we catch him? Lianan spoke to Dongshin with a tone of condescension. Sheriff, I want that boy to suffer a fate worse than death. I want to drain his blood, cut off his head and use it as a spittoon, peel off his skin and fly it as a kite. I want to prevent him from ever being reincarnated, so my ancestor's spirit can finally rest. Dongshin's eyes blazed with fury. With the ancestor gone, the Chuan family was looking at being torn apart by other powerful groups. He blamed Chuan for everything. He wanted to eat his bones, tear at his flesh, and drink his blood. Seeing Dongshin's crazed state, Lianan told him to calm down. What's in it for me to help you catch this kid? Lianan asked coolly. He wasn't interested in doing anything that didn't benefit him. If you, Sheriff, help my Chuan family capture this kid, the heaven-level sword and the spiritual crystal on him are yours. Plus, from now on, the Chuan family will be in your corner and yours alone. Dongshin replied respectfully. The Chuan family was going to get divided up anyway, so he thought it was better to find a strong patron first, someone who could also avenge their ancestor. Hearing this, Lianan nodded, satisfied. While Chuan was his goal, he would also conquer a top family. Why not? Send out every man you have and search for this kid with everything you've got. Find him before the other factions do, Li told his generals. Yes, sir, the general nodded and left to relay Li'anen's order. Then, under the general's command, Li'anen's forces split up and advanced into the inner reaches of the Dark Soul Mountain range, beginning a grid search. Combined with the forces of other factions, the outer Dark Soul Mountain range suddenly became a powder keg, bursting with activity. The monsters in the mountain sensed the human presence and gave them a wide berth. Meanwhile, Chuan was hiding under a cliff. He was in bad shape, covered in injuries. The clothes he'd just changed were already soaked with blood, almost unrecognizable. His hair was matted with blood, and he reeked of it, but he was alive, though barely. After leaving the cave, he'd been ambushed by several groups. The martial artists hunting him were like rabid dogs, not giving him a moment to breathe. Fortunately, although he was low level, he was a strong fighter, and the Xianyang Ju allowed him to constantly heal his injuries. Otherwise, he would have been caught a long time ago. Chuan's face was grim. The killing sword in his hand, stained with enemy blood, hung low. I hope you're praying I don't get away, because if I do, you'll all be dead when I reach the level of magical power. This was the biggest crisis he'd faced since he'd started cultivating. Not only was the Chen family after him, but others were joining in the hunt, all for the heavenly sword in his hand. Let them come. This pursuit had ignited an intense desire for power. Only by becoming stronger could he control his destiny and never face this situation again. He's here. Don't let him get away. Chuan had been spotted. Several teams, led by members of the mortal transformation realm and a few from the Qi nurturing realm, rushed toward his position. Chuan raised his blade and cut the first man in half. Come on, he's hurt. Let's get him together. Don't be afraid. Catch him, and you'll get a reward of 100,000 yuan stones. Seeing Chuan's brutality, some of the hunters were momentarily terrified, but then someone realized that Chuan was badly hurt and immediately rallied the others, hoping to take him alive. Kill. Just keep him busy. The big guns from the supernatural realm will be here soon. One of the martial artists, at the first level of the mortal transformation realm, roared as he pulled out his sword and charged at Chuan. His sword shone sharply, facing the attack. Chuan didn't flinch. He'd killed the Chen family patriarch, who was in the supernatural power realm, so why should he be afraid of a first-level mortal transformation realm cultivator and a few Qi nurturing realm amateurs? This was a joke. Clang! The swords clashed, and the man's long sword shattered into dust. Then, the sound of the blade roared through the quiet mountain forest. Another soul fell to the killing sword. Chuan strode forward, crushing the man's head with a single kick, sending blood flying. Come on, come and kill me. Chuan's eyes were bloodshot as he roared at the remaining hunters. The killing god sword, a heaven-level weapon, was too powerful for Chuan to wield for long in the mortal transformation stage. He was already being consumed by the murderous aura and evil energy of the sword. If he continued like this, he would become a sword slave, controlled by the killing weapon, a knife slave with no mind of his own, knowing only how to kill. He held the sword and walked toward the remaining hunters, step by step. He's not human. Run! The remaining hunters were horrified. The martial artists in the mortal transformation realm had been cut down like nothing. They were no match for him. If they stayed, they would die. None of you are getting away today. You're all going to die. Chuan roared, throwing the killing knife and piercing the backs of the heads of those who tried to escape. With a single strike, several died instantly. Chuan's eyes turned even redder. As the killing god sword killed more people, Chuan was being consumed by its murderous aura and evil energy. He was losing control. Only one thought filled his mind: kill. Kill everyone and everything he saw, kill everything in this world. Just as Chuan was about to be completely controlled by the killing sword, a safeguard left by the guardian suddenly activated. A wave of clarity washed over his mind, driving away the murderous and evil spirits. Chuan regained his senses. Looking at the killing sword stuck in the ground in the distance, he was terrified. Chapter 043. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A heavenly sword and a mysterious girl. Chuan wasted no time. He grabbed the god-killing sword and took off again. He knew this was no place to linger, more and more people would be on his tail soon. When Lianen and his crew got there, all they found were bodies. Lianen eyed the direction Chuan had fled and barked, "He's heading into the Dark Soul Mountains. After him. Don't let him get away." With that, they transformed into streaks of light and gave chase. Crap! Chuan glanced back, instantly alarmed. A master of supernatural power and a bunch of lesser cultivators were closing in fast. He kicked it into high gear, sprinting without bothering to hide. He realized his only shot at survival was reaching the mountain's depths. In his current condition, facing someone with supernatural power meant certain death. Are these guys insane? They're really coming after me. Chuan gritted his teeth and whipped out the god-killing sword again. Time to throw down. He had plenty of tricks up his sleeve. He wasn't going down without a fight. Just then, Lianen caught up. Lianen's magical power exploded, like a furious god, unleashing a monstrous wave of killing intent. Chuan stood firm, refusing to break. "Alright, kid, you've had your fun. Time to die." Lianen reached out a palm towards Chuan. The sheer force of the palm made Chuan's body crackle, as if about to explode. His solar power surged, but it was barely enough to withstand the assault. Blood gushed from Chuan, painting a gruesome picture. He was drenched. "I don't care who you are, someday I'll personally rip off your head and hang it above Linen County's gate for the whole city to see." Blood streamed from Chuan's every orifice as he roared. "You won't get the chance," Lianen sneered. His eyes flashed as he eyed the god-killing sword. Chuan wasn't even worth a glance. He brushed off the threat completely. Killing Chuan was as easy as squashing a bug. He was at the 9th level of the supernatural realm, the most powerful cultivator in Linen County. He was here for the heavenly sword and spiritual crystal. With those, he was 100% sure he could break through to the Nirvana realm, maybe even the reincarnation realm. With that, his palm slammed down. Chuan faced immediate death, but even then, Chuan didn't beg. Instead, he gritted his teeth and braced himself. "You asked for it." Chuan grabbed the talisman Situ Lin had given him and hurled it at Lianen. The talisman detonated, unleashing a terrifying sword energy that blasted towards Lianen. It shattered his palm print and kept coming. At that moment, Chuan's protective backstop kicked in, and a formation enveloped him. Lianen's face contorted in terror as he saw the sword energy barreling towards him. He felt an immense danger. If that sword energy hit him, he was dead. Desperate, he grabbed a lackey and tossed him towards the incoming energy. "No, sir." The man screamed, but the sword energy vaporized him instantly. Lianen panicked, sprinting away and throwing his men at the sword energy to slow it down, but it was useless. The sword energy seemed to have locked onto him. He sacrificed all his men, but it wasn't enough to stop the sword. Chuan, meanwhile, was teleported miles away by the formation, nearly to the Dark Soul Mountain's core. Boom! As he landed inside the perimeter, a blinding white light lit up the night, then a powerful gale swept through. Everything within miles was flattened. The sword energy shredded everything, even the air, creating a vacuum. Lianen, hit head-on, was gone, reduced to nothing by the energy. All the pursuers nearby were wiped out as well. In one strike, half of Linen County's fighting force had been decimated. Chuan glanced back, secretly impressed. The master's sword was terrifying. Was this the true power of the Tongtian realm? Only then did Chuan relax a bit, his nerves easing, but he couldn't stay there long. Other pursuers were miles away, and when word got out about the heavenly weapons and spiritual crystals, more people would come after him. He couldn't guarantee they'd give up just because Lianen was dead. He ran until he was exhausted. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't keep fighting without a break. Plus, he was badly injured. The earlier treatment had only been a quick fix, not a real solution. He'd been running on adrenaline, but now it faded. He couldn't go any further. Poof! Chuan coughed up blood and stumbled, about to collapse. "Hey, someone's up ahead." Chuan thought he saw a house. Relieved, he hurried toward it. He needed to find somewhere to heal fast, or he'd suffer serious consequences. Just as Chuan neared the thatched roof hut, an arrow whizzed toward him. Chuan ducked and dodged the arrow. It was all he could manage. "Who are you and what do you want here?" A beautiful girl in a smoky skirt stood there, glaring. She notched another arrow, ready to kill Su Chuan if he didn't give a good answer. Su Chuan was stunned, oblivious to the danger for a moment, then he snapped to it. "Hey, hold on, I didn't mean to intrude." Su Chuan quickly told his story, explaining he just needed a place to heal. The girl lowered her bow, but her face remained guarded. Chapter 044. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Princess Ning Yusi of the Wei Dynasty. What a mess of a life. The pressure vanished, and Su Chuan's legs gave way, sending him crashing to the ground. He reached for a recovery pill, desperate to heal, but he couldn't even manage that. He collapsed right in front of some stranger. After so many battles, he was completely spent. Not even the power of his special currency could fix him now. How did you get so messed up? A girl frowned, looking down at him. Su Chuan was in bad shape, like life or death bad. Su Chuan tried to ask her to get the pill for him, but he was too weak to even open his mouth. Seeing his condition, the girl pulled out a sweet-smelling elixir from her ring. The moment Su Chuan saw it, his eyes went wide. His mind was still sharp. Even if he couldn't move, he recognized it instantly. A yuanyang pill, a lifesaver. If you were still breathing, this thing could pull you back from the brink and practically guarantee immortality. It was exactly what he needed. If he could just move, grab his own recovery pill, and swallow it, he could turn things around. This girl, carrying such a treasure and just whipping it out like that? She had to be somebody important. Hesitating only a moment, the girl forced Su Chuan's mouth open and fed him the pill. Then, she tapped several acupuncture points, channeling her energy into him to help him absorb the medicine. Su Chuan felt the pill dissolve into pure medicinal energy, spreading through his limbs, repairing the damaged organs and meridians throughout his body. Your injuries are extensive. This yuanyang pill will only help so much. The rest is up to you. She sighed. Oh, well, might as well go all the way. You need to rest. Come back to my place. With a wave of her hand, a surge of energy enveloped Su Chuan, lifting him toward the thatched hut he'd seen earlier. Thank you, really. I'm Su Chuan. I don't even know your name yet. The yuanyang pill had allowed him to speak, even if he still couldn't move. He felt a sudden fondness for her, so he asked her directly. Ning Yusi. The girl kept walking, not even looking back. As if she didn't want to chat, she picked up her pace, hurrying away with Su Chuan in tow. Su Chuan didn't push it. He just lay there quietly, but he did activate his system and scanned Ning Yusi. Suddenly, all her information flooded his vision. Name, Ning Yusi. Realm, peak stage 9 of transformation realm. Talent, unrivaled. Destiny, daughter of destiny. Gold, Taiyin goddess. Gold, stunning beauty. Gold, lucky star. Gold. Life script, heroine, born sacred. Life path, princess of the Wei Dynasty, born under an auspicious omen. She trained and progressed rapidly. 1 year to temper the body, 2 years to gather qi, 3 years to complete her transformation. She failed to enter the supernatural realm due to the influence of the Taiyin blood in her body, so she fled the palace to the Dark Soul Mountains in search of the ruins of the Taiyin sect, hoping to step into the Taiyin origin, obtain the origin, and become the Taiyin goddess, soaring to new heights. Another 4 golden destinies. This was the second woman he'd encountered with that level of potential, and she was a princess of the Wei Dynasty. Su Chuan never would have guessed. The golden light practically blinded him. He clicked for a detailed introduction to each destiny. Daughter of destiny, born under a favorable celestial arrangement, a person chosen by fate, favored by the heavens. Taiyin goddess, inherited the Taiyin bloodline, born with the power of Taiyin, capable of extraordinary feats. Transforming into the Taiyin origin will unlock remarkable talents, rapid advancement, and make her a contemporary Taiyin goddess. Suitable for dual cultivation with someone possessing the Sun constitution for mutual benefit. Stunning beauty, breathtakingly beautiful, capable of captivating the entire nation. Lucky star, surrounded by lucky stars. The higher her cultivation, the stronger her luck and good fortune. After reading everything, Su Chuan's head was spinning. No doubt about it, she was worthy of being a princess of the Wei Dynasty and the daughter of a powerhouse in the Heavenly King realm. A fate like this was extremely rare. It was downright terrifying. Su Chuan gasped for breath. Soon, Ning Yusi arrived at her place and put him on the bed. Then, she disappeared without a trace. Su Chuan took stock of his surroundings. The thatched hut was simple, with only a bed and a table, but it smelled faintly of a girl's perfume, which was nice. The hut was built in a place brimming with life energy, which would greatly help his recovery. Formations surrounded the place, keeping monsters out, ensuring no one would disturb his healing. Immediately, Su Chuan closed his eyes and began to circulate the Xianyang art. The power of the sun coursed through him, speeding up his recovery. Soon, he could move his hands and feet. Without hesitation, he grabbed the recovery pill and swallowed it. A wave of coolness washed over him. He looked at himself and saw that he was completely healed. Except for his blood-stained clothes, there was no sign of injury. That pill worked like a charm. Su Chuan couldn't help but sigh. Too bad he only had one. A pill with such a powerful effect couldn't possibly be mass-produced. Still, even with his injuries, there was a silver lining. The sword soul seed in his sea of consciousness had grown stronger. He knew it wouldn't be long before it matured, birthing a true martial arts soul, a killer sword soul that was uniquely his, and once the Sesho sword soul was born, Su Chuan would be able to completely control the Sesho sword and no longer risk being consumed by its murderous intent and falling into madness. As Su Chuan recuperated, the various factions in Linen County and the pursuers, led by several masters, finally arrived at the site of his battle with Li Anan, but the moment they saw the devastation caused by the sword light and the missing Li Anan, they all stopped, unwilling to take another step. The scene was terrifying. Sword power and murderous aura lingered in the air. Even the leaders in the supernatural realm trembled. They sensed a strong sense of danger emanating from the wreckage. They couldn't imagine what kind of powerhouse could have caused such destruction. They didn't dare to pursue any further. The treasure was tempting, but not worth dying for. Whether Su Chuan had more attacks like that or not, they weren't willing to take the risk. The pursuit had already claimed 2 lives in the supernatural realm. Worst of all was the fate of Linen County Governor Li Anan, who didn't even leave behind a body. They were certain that he couldn't have survived, and anyone capable of unleashing that kind of attack was not to be trifled with. They simply couldn't afford to cross him. Let's go. Reluctantly, the leaders of the supernatural realm ordered the remaining forces to retreat. They were calling off the hunt. Chapter 045. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Chuan, completely unaware of the drama that had unfolded, was busy cleaning himself up and changing into fresh clothes. Squeak, star, the door creaked open, and Ning Yusi walked back in, carrying her bow and arrow. Seeing Su Chuan sitting up, she looked genuinely surprised. She knew firsthand how severe his injuries were. Even with the Yuanyang pill, she figured he'd be bedridden for at least 3 to 5 days. Yet, after just a morning, Su Chuan was not only moving around but looked completely healed. It was way beyond what she expected. Composing herself, she said, "Wow, you bounced back quick. Looks like you're hiding some secrets. Were those guys outside chasing you?" I peeked around the edge of the inner perimeter. Looks like they've pulled back. You lucked out managing to survive crossing paths with a powerhouse like that. Su Chuan blinked, surprised, then he realized what she must think. She saw the aftermath of his sword strike and assumed he got injured by stumbling into a fight between experts while being chased, and those warriors who were after him. They must have been spooked by the terrifying scene, which made sense. After all, it was a strike from a top-tier Tongtian realm martial artist. It could instantly kill even a Samsara realm martial artist, let alone a bunch of magical power realm martial artists. No wonder they didn't dare to recklessly pursue him anymore. "Thanks for the heads up, Miss Ning," Su Chuan said. Ning Yusi nodded, accepting his thanks. Then, she started to mull over what to do with Su Chuan. He'd stumbled into her life, and she wasn't keen on letting him wander off. Too many people wanted to grab her and use her as leverage against her father. The moment Su Chuan left, her location could be compromised, but keeping him cooped up here didn't sit right with her. The Dark Soul Mountain range was riddled with dangers. Someone at the 2nd level of Mortal Transformation realm was practically signing his death warrant by being here. If she truly wanted him dead, she wouldn't have wasted the precious Yuanyang pill to heal him earlier. Her real goal was the Taiyin sect ruins, which were also full of traps. Even at the 9th level of Mortal Transformation, she could barely protect herself. Bringing Su Chuan along would be even more complicated. She was in a bind. Meanwhile, Su Chuan was sitting cross-legged on the bed, eyes closed, lost in cultivation, after the recent fights, and now that he was back in top shape, his cultivation was showing signs of breaking through. Thrilled, Su Chuan tuned out Ning Yusi and started practicing, running Xianyang Ju to soak up the vital energy around him. Boom. By afternoon, a loud sound erupted from Su Chuan. Xianyang Ju was going wild. And the awesome power of the sun surrounded his body, shining brightly. Energy swirled around him and poured into his body like crazy. Su Chuan took a deep breath and stopped. In that moment, he blasted through his current realm and reached the third level of transformation. It was an unexpected windfall. It was like the saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." I can't believe it. You recovered from injuries like that so fast, and then you leveled up. What kind of freak are you? Ning Yusi was equally surprised when she felt Su Chuan break through. She shot to her feet, hardly believing her eyes. A normal person with injuries like Su Chuan's would be lucky just to survive, let alone level up, but Su Chuan. He not only healed instantly but also used the opportunity to push through to the next level. She'd never met anyone like him. Looking at Su Chuan on the bed, she seemed to have an idea. Her eyes lit up, and she spoke. "I saved your life, how are you going to pay me back? And let's be clear, that Yuanyang pill wasn't cheap." After getting back to peak condition and then leveling up, Su Chuan was in high spirits. He smiled slightly and said, "Miss Ning, just name your price, and I, Su Chuan, will do everything I can to make it happen. I'm a true disciple of Tai Holy Land, and I always pay my debts." Ning Yusi was caught off guard hearing that Su Chuan was a true disciple of Tai Holy Land. Although she had suspected that Su Chuan's identity wasn't simple, she hadn't expected him to be the Holy Land's true heir. This only solidified her plan. "Turns out you're a true disciple of the Holy Land. Perfect. I have a task for you. Come with me, and we'll be even once it's done." Ning Yusi stared straight at him, and without beating around the bush, she laid it all out. What is Miss Ning talking about? That even though Su Chuan already knew what Ning Yusi wanted from the system, he still pretended to be surprised. Ning Yusi nodded slightly. "I want to head to the core of the Dark Soul Mountain range to find the Taiyin sect ruins. There's something I need there, but the Taiyin sect ruins are off limits to anyone with magical powers. And the road there is full of dangers. I'm not confident I can manage alone. But seeing you escape from those digital supernatural realm guys, you're clearly a big shot in the mortal transformation realm. And when I heard you say you were the Holy Land's true successor, it sealed the deal that I'd ask you to come along." She paused, then continued, "Of course, I only need one thing from there. You can keep everything else." She looked at Su Chuan with clear eyes and asked, "What do you say, Mr. Su?" "Okay, I'll go with you, Miss Ning." Su Chuan pretended to think it over for a second, then nodded in agreement. The system indicated that Ning Yusi would eventually obtain the origin of Taiyin. So, even if she went alone, she wouldn't be in much danger. She was inviting him along simply to minimize the risks. Su Chuan agreed partly to repay Ning Yusi for saving his life. He wasn't an ungrateful guy, he also wanted to build a good relationship with her. After all, working with Destiny's daughter could boost his own luck. And since Ning Yusi was able to find the origin of Taiyin in the Taiyin sect ruins, with her luck, she might stumble upon other opportunities. What he needed most was a chance to grow stronger. Only by becoming stronger could he avoid a life-or-death situation like before. "Great!" A smile immediately spread across Ning Yusi's face. "With Mr. Su's help, this trip to the Taiyin sect's ruins is guaranteed to be a success. Miss Ning, you're too kind." "Su Chuan will do his best," Su Chuan said with a smile. Afterward, they discussed the specifics, precautions, and potential dangers of the trip. Ning Yusi laid out all the pros and cons for Su Chuan. By the time they had hammered out their plan, it was late at night. To prepare for the action the next day, they closed their eyes and rested, but maybe because they were in the same room, neither of them really fell asleep. Any noise would make them open their eyes. Chapter 046. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gravity Stone Forest and Monster Stone Tower. Su Chuan and Ning Yusi walked side by side across the vast, mountainous terrain, heading towards the Taiyin sect ruins, located deep within the Dark Soul Mountain range. The ruins should have been swarming with powerful monsters, but Ning Yusi expertly guided them around every single one. Clearly, this trip to the Taiyin sect ruins wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. She'd planned it meticulously. After a half-day's trek, Ning Yusi stopped. Before them lay a stone forest of bizarre, jagged rocks. Beyond this stone forest lies the Taiyin sect territory. Be careful. Ning Yusi warned, turning to Su Chuan. Su Chuan frowned, his gaze sweeping over the ominous stone forest. His gut told him this place was trouble. He drew the killing sword from his storage ring, his senses on high alert. Something wrong? Ning Yusi asked, noticing his unease. This stone forest feels off. Could be dangerous. Tread carefully. Su Chuan replied. Ning Yusi's expression turned serious. She trusted Su Chuan's instincts. After all, he'd managed to escape magical powerhouses even with his low-level cultivation. There had to be something special about his ability to sense danger. She unslung her bow and arrow, preparing for a fight, and then stepped into the stone forest. Boom! The moment they entered, a crushing pressure slammed down on them. A gravity field. Su Chuan exclaimed, struggling against the sudden weight. This whole stone forest was covered by a gravity formation. Su Chuan was impressed, if a little stunned, by the Taiyin sect's generosity. This stone forest was huge, and the cost of a gravity formation that could cover such a large area couldn't have been cheap. While powerful, the gravity field didn't pose a significant threat to Su Chuan. However, as they ventured deeper, the pressure intensified, and it felt like carrying a mountain on their backs. Every step became an ordeal, forcing Su Chuan to stop and rest. Ning Yusi, with her higher cultivation, was struggling as well, though not quite as much as Su Chuan. Could this stone forest have been a training ground for Taiyin sect disciples? Su Chuan wondered aloud. Under the crushing weight, this gravity field would only challenge martial arts cultivators in the mortal transformation realm. Anyone weaker would be paralyzed. The only way to get through was to constantly temper oneself. That's what made Su Chuan suspect it was a training ground. Finally, they passed through the stone forest, and Su Chuan felt the pressure vanish, leaving him light and free. They'd made it through the gravity field. Finally out. Su Chuan gasped. Before them lay a landscape dotted with stone towers, thousands of them, stretching as far as the eye could see. These towers were disturbing, pitch black, and something was definitely wrong with them. Su Chuan tightened his grip on the killing sword, his guard up. As he cautiously entered the tower field, a thick tentacle shot out from a tower behind him, aiming for his back. Look out! Ning Yusi cried, hearing her warning. Su Chuan didn't hesitate. He swung the killing sword. A terrifying blade of light erupted, filled with murderous intent, slicing the tentacle to the ground, but the severed tentacle didn't die. Instead, it burrowed into the earth and vanished, as if nothing had happened. Something's weird about these towers. They're probably monsters. Watch yourself. Su Chuan warned, scanning the surrounding towers, trying to identify the threat. As soon as he spoke, more tentacles erupted from the towers, lashing out at them. Looking for a fight? Su Chuan yelled, swinging his sword again, but this time, the tentacle didn't break. Instead, it blocked the blade and continued its attack on Su Chuan. Ning Yusi was also overwhelmed. The tentacles seemed endless. Cut one off, and another would burst from the black stone tower. They were swarmed, and the tentacles were getting stronger. The more they were cut, the tougher the new ones became. Soon, Su Chuan could barely keep up, and the newly sprouted tentacles were too strong to cut. He could only dodge. This isn't working. Su Chuan realized. Instead of relying on sword techniques, he channeled the power of the sun into the killing sword and struck at the tentacles. This time, the tentacles seemed to recoil. The one that had been so tough moments before let out a screech as it touched the power of the sun. Then it turned into a wisp of black smoke and vanished completely. The stone tower it came from turned from black to white. These tentacles are afraid of the power of the sun. Su Chuan exclaimed, feeling a surge of relief. If there was a weakness, this could be handled. He unleashed the full power of the sun in his body. He swung the killing sword, and the sword light mixed with the power of the sun formed a dense web that instantly disintegrated the tentacles. Then he charged into the tower forest. He went on the offensive, and all the tentacles emerging from the towers were quickly destroyed, and those towers turned white one after another. Soon, Chuan had cleared a vacuum around them. At the same time, Ning Yusi was using her own secret weapon, firing arrows that crackled with the power of the sun. Every tentacle hit by an arrow melted like ice. They no longer spoke, just focused on clearing the tentacles in front of them. Working together, these thousands of stone towers began to gradually turn white. Phew! After wiping out the last tentacle, both of them sighed in relief. There had been so many. Exhausted, Chuan and Ning Yusi sat on the ground, took out yuan stones, and began to recover their energy. Once they were ready, they began to examine the white stone towers. These towers seemed to form a teleportation array. Chuan observed tentatively. This should be the teleportation array leading to the Taiyin sect ruins, Ning Yusi said, her eyes gleaming. According to my intel, the ruins are in a broken pocket dimension. I think this array is the gateway. That she walked to the center of the tower field, pulled out a jade talisman with the word Taiyin inscribed on it, and thrust it into the empty air before her. Chuan followed, considering the situation. Buzz. As the talisman disappeared, the tower field began to shift. Then, in a flash of silver light, Chuan and Ning Yusi vanished. Chapter 047. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chuan's vision went black, and then, bam, he was in a whole new place. He'd made it into the small world, but Ning Yusi, who was supposed to teleport with him, was nowhere to be seen. Random teleportation array, it seemed. They'd been split up. Chuan didn't sweat it too much. First, he scoped out his surroundings. He was in a thick forest, choked with vegetation and swirling mist. The air was buzzing with life energy, way more potent than outside. He could even hear the faint roars of some beasties. Yep, monsters were definitely in this small world. Time to be careful. This place is loaded with energy, he thought. Probably means some tough monsters are lurking around. Gotta link up with Ning Yusi ASAP. And with that, he headed for the edge of the woods. Luckily, Ning Yusi had given him a jade slip that tracked her energy signature. Smart thinking on her part, anticipating the random teleport, saved him a ton of time, but he wasn't about to sprint through the forest. He stayed alert, always watching his back. This was uncharted territory, and who knew what dangers lurked. Better safe than sorry. Rushing headfirst into trouble wouldn't be smart, and sure enough, Chuan's instincts were spot on. Not long after he started walking, he heard something rustling in the underbrush. Suddenly, a massive lizard monster came charging out, a fire lizard, a first-level mortal realm critter. Chuan knew the type. The thing saw Chuan and lunged, jaws wide open. Chuan's face hardened. You picked the wrong fight. That he swung his killing knife, slamming it right into the lizard's head. Boom. The lizard's head turned to mush, and it collapsed to the ground. One hit was all it took. Now, dealing with mortal realm monsters was a piece of cake for Chuan. After offing the fire lizard, he dug out its demon core. Then, he checked out the grass. Where there's a monster guarding something, there's probably some magical plant growing. It was practically a law of nature. He parted the grass. Bingo, a glowing plant sat before him, green leaves, about the size of his thumb, with a fiery red fruit at the top, shaped like a candle flame. 1,000-year-old spiritual candle fruit. Chuan recognized it instantly, a super valuable herb. Eating it raw could boost your cultivation and condense your energy. Plus, it was a key ingredient for refining those fortune pills. Pop a fortune pill, and you'd get thrown into a dreamlike illusion, experience a whole different life, strengthen your soul, and even have a shot at unlocking your true martial arts potential. Outside, a fortune pill would set you back millions of low-grade yuan stones, so, the spiritual candle fruit, the main ingredient, was worth a fortune too, at least 400,000 low-grade yuan stones, 400,000 low-grade yuan stones. A big family like the Chens probably hadn't saved up much more than that in centuries, and here Chuan was, just stepping into the small world and already hitting the jackpot. Small worlds really are treasure troves. No wonder every force and lone wolf goes nuts when a small world pops up. The wealth here is insane. That he was impressed. Unlike secret realms, small worlds usually formed naturally. Or, some broken world floated around in the void until some strong dude claimed it as their own private playground. The yin and yang, the five elements, everything was complete in a small world. It was a balanced, vibrant place, packed with creatures and rare treasures. Secret realms, on the other hand, were man-made. The rules were jumbled, and everything was pre-placed by someone else. Generally, you stood to gain way more in a small world than in any secret realm. Chuan plucked the lingzhu fruit and carefully stored it in a jade box. He left the plant itself alone, let it keep growing for the next person to find. With that done, he kept moving. 2 hours later, Chuan finally reached Ning Yuxi's location, according to the jade slip. But before he could get close, he felt a surge of violent energy. Boom, 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 star. In the distance, smoke and dust billowed, and the sounds of a fight rang out. Trouble. He hurried toward the commotion. When he got close, he finally spotted Ning Yuxi, and things weren't looking good. She was surrounded by a pack of lions, barely holding her own. These weren't your average lions, either. All of them were mortal realm level, and the leader radiated a powerful aura. This was a magical lion, no doubt about it. The lions kept charging at Ning Yuxi, but she didn't panic. She steadily fired arrows from her bow. Each arrow streaked through the air, striking a lion and blasting it into dust. Soon, Ning Yuxi had wiped out the whole pride, leaving only the magical lion. Roar. Seeing his pride slaughtered, the magical lion roared like thunder and lunged at Ning Yuxi. Its massive claws aimed to end her with a single blow, but Ning Yuxi wasn't fazed by the sudden attack. She dodged the claws and fired another arrow at the lion. Direct hit. The magical lion roared in pain and went even more berserk, unleashing a flurry of attacks on Ning Yuxi, but she dodged them all, cool and collected. Impressive, Chuan thought, watching from nearby. She really lives up to her reputation. But then, out of nowhere, a magical lioness jumped out of the woods and attacked from behind, catching them both off guard. The lioness's paw slammed into Ning Yuxi, and blood spurted from her mouth. She went flying, right toward Chuan. He reacted instantly, stepping forward to catch her before she hit the ground and got even more hurt. Ning Yuxi was caught off guard too. Then she realized Chuan had caught her. The warmth of his arms made her blush slightly, and she awkwardly pushed herself upright. "You okay?" Chuan asked. "I'm fine, thanks." Ning Yuxi was wearing soft armor, so the lioness's sneak attack hadn't done too much damage. She'd just been knocked senseless by the impact. Still, being caught by a strange man had flustered her a bit. Chuan nodded, then, knife in hand, he stepped forward, facing the two magical realm lions alongside Ning Yuxi. Zheng, star. The long knife flashed, and a terrifying blade of energy slashed toward the lions, crackling with murderous intent, and Ning Yuxi wasn't about to be outdone. A series of cold lights followed closely, joining Chuan in the fight against the lioness. Roar. The lions roared, and the male charged at Chuan, foul breath filling the air. Chuan stayed calm, power surged through his body, and as the lion lunged, he unleashed the most devastating move of his killing sword technique. Life or death. The killing god's sword carried an intense murderous aura, cleaving straight through the lion. Puff, star. The lion was sliced in half mid-air. The magical realm monster's hide was nothing to the killing god's sword. It cut through like butter. Ning Yuxi unleashed her most lethal attack as well, making short work of the lioness, and just like that, two magical beasts had fallen at the hands of two martial artists. Chapter 048. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Taiyin sect ruins. Claiming the Taiyin and Sun origins, after dealing with the lions, they left the woods together. They ran into a few monster attacks, but nothing they couldn't handle. Not far off, at the foot of a sheer cliff hundreds of feet high, was something unexpected. Instead of rock, there were sprawling wooden pavilions and buildings, massive and interconnected. It was clear how prosperous the Taiyin sect once was. But now, these wooden structures had long collapsed into ruins. Some of the wood was rotten, but other pieces still looked relatively untouched. Chuan approached, touched a piece, and it crumbled into dust. Soul-condensing wood. They spared no expense. Chuan's eyes widened, surprised. Soul-condensing wood nourishes the soul and wards off madness. Each piece is priceless. The Taiyin sect built everything with it. Unbelievable. it showed how remarkable the Taiyin sect was 5,000 years ago. Chuan knew it was the most powerful sect in the entire eastern region back then. They had several Emperor realm experts and countless Heavenly King realm martial artists, but one day, the entire sect vanished from the eastern region, never to be seen again. The current Holy Land sects rose only after the Taiyin sect disappeared. How could such a powerful sect just vanish? Chuan wondered. In the Xiantian continent, the Heavenly King realm is the pinnacle. The Emperor Senior realm hasn't appeared in millennia. Rumor has it that reaching the Emperor Senior realm causes one to disappear. This has led many martial artists near the Emperor realm to suppress their cultivation, afraid to break through. Where did those Emperor Senior realm experts go? Why did they leave? Many mysteries remain. This is the Taiyin sect site. Thanks for your help, Mr. Su, Ning Yusi said, smiling. No need. I owe you my life, Miss Ning, Chuan replied. What I'm looking for is here. I can feel it, Ning Yusi said, her eyes blazing with excitement as she gazed at the ruins. Then let's find it. Chuan said. He sensed something too. The Xianyang Ju inside him was reacting, excited, its energy vibrating. Something here was crucial for the Xianyang Ju. He felt hopeful. They entered the ruins together. Soon, Chuan found something. In what looked like the main hall, he discovered a door in the floor. A protective seal remained intact, guarding what lay beyond. Chuan activated his jade talisman and bypassed the seal. Opening the door revealed a dark hole with stairs leading down. The pull grew stronger, confirming that Ning Yusi's goal was inside. Found it. Come on. Chuan called. Ning Yusi rushed over and entered the hole with him. As they descended, candles lit one by one. They arrived at a vast, luxurious underground palace, untouched by time. They walked hand in hand into the depths. The further they went, the more active the great sun power within Chuan became. After half an hour, they reached a more open space. A silver-white light and a crimson light floated in the air. They complemented each other, yet remained separate. The silver-white light was the Taiyin origin that Ning Yusi sought. Her eyes were drawn to it, filled with joy. The crimson light, Chuan could feel that it was causing the Xianyang Ju to react. He recognized it instantly, the sun origin, as powerful as the Taiyin origin. It was rare for the Taiyin and sun origins to be in the same place. The Taiyin sect must have gone to great lengths to acquire them. The energies from each source were neutralized, preventing any leakage. Otherwise, this place would be very different. Even Chuan was thrilled to see the sun origin. He knew something that could attract the Xianyang Ju must be extraordinary, but he hadn't expected the sun origin. If he integrated it, he would advance significantly. The great sun physique created by Xianyang Ju could evolve into the holy sun physique. It would fix his physical shortcomings. Ning Yusi jumped into the air, flying toward the Taiyin origin. Unable to contain her excitement, she ignored the sun origin. As a member of the Taiyin bloodline, she could only fuse the Taiyin origin. Trying to fuse both would kill her. Plus, she promised to only take one thing, leaving the rest to Chuan. No need to be greedy. Poof! Like a fish entering water, Ning Yusi dove into the Taiyin origin and vanished. Half an hour later, the Taiyin origin emitted a bright light. With a soft sound, Ning Yusi was ejected, falling to the ground. Pale, she was breathing heavily, looking exhausted, but her eyes shone with excitement. Looking at the Taiyin origin, which was now the size of a fist, she took it. Ning Yusi had successfully claimed her treasure. Congratulations, Miss Ning, Chuan said. Thank you, Mr. Su. I wouldn't have gotten it so easily without your help. I'm going to fuse the Taiyin origin now. Would you mind protecting me? Ning Yusi asked. Of course, Chuan said. I'll keep you safe. Thank you, Mr. Su. Ning Yusi sat down, ready to fuse with the Taiyin origin. Chapter 049. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fusion of origin, inheritance of the Taiyin goddess. Ning Yusi closed her eyes, focusing on connecting with the origin of the Taiyin. Her Taiyin blood seemed to help, because the origin power didn't reject her. Soon, she drew the power out, turning it into a white mist, and it flowed into her body. Ah! The moment it entered, a jolt of pain shot through her. Her face, already pale, went completely white, and sweat beaded on her forehead, but she quickly gathered herself, gritting her teeth and bearing it. The pain made her tremble, but she didn't make a sound. Chuan couldn't help but admire her. He might not know exactly what that pain felt like, but he could tell it was excruciating. The fact that she could endure it was impressive, no doubt about it. This princess of the Wei dynasty was no ordinary woman. Anyone else would have been screaming bloody murder. Thankfully, the pain didn't last long. Soon, Ning Yuxi's expression eased, and some color returned to her cheeks. This meant the Taiyin origin was merging with her, just like Chuan expected. A powerful lunar energy emerged from her, enveloping her. The origin's power was like a soft, silver-white moonlight. This triggered the Taiyin blood within her, causing it to surge. The two powers combined, strengthening her Taiyin bloodline bit by bit. Her Taiyin bloodline was officially awakening. As it awakened, a bright moon appeared behind Ning Yuxi. Cool lunar power cascaded down. Instantly, the entire underground palace turned frigid, and even Chuan shivered. Boom! An hour later, a silver halo exploded from Ning Yuxi. Light shot up into the air. The underground palace lit up like daytime. Afterward, Ning Yuxi exuded a mysterious aura, making her seem like a holy and noble goddess descended to earth. Her Taiyin blood had fully awakened, transforming her physique into a Taiyin divine body. Then, a flood of information rushed into her mind. It was endless, like a bottomless ocean, threatening to overwhelm her consciousness. After what seemed like forever, Ning Yuxi's consciousness returned. She felt like she had witnessed the birth of the Taiyin star, and the ancient Taiyin inheritance poured into her mind from her bloodline. Countless memory fragments flashed before her eyes, including the figure of a simply dressed goddess with unparalleled beauty. A sense of familiarity washed over her. Taiyin goddess. Ning Yuxi was surprised and felt a little detached. After merging with the Taiyin origin, her bloodline had awakened. Now, not only did she have a Taiyin divine body, but also a wealth of knowledge from the depths of her blood. She inherited the title of Taiyin goddess, becoming the current one. For a moment, Ning Yuxi was in a daze, but it didn't end there. Suddenly, Ning Yuxi's cultivation level began to skyrocket. She had no time to process the changes. She just closed her eyes and continued to focus. A huge amount of energy poured from her body. First level of the magical power realm, second level of the magical power realm, fifth level of the magical power realm. It didn't stop until she reached the seventh level. Luckily, this was a breakthrough in a small world, not limited by the mortal transformation realm. Awakening her Taiyin bloodline had taken her from the peak of the ninth level of the mortal transformation realm to the seventh level of the divine power realm. This was thanks to her profound foundation. As a princess of the Wei dynasty, she had reached the peak of the ninth level in just 3 years, but her bloodline had prevented her from advancing further. The Emperor of Wei hadn't given up, searching for countless treasures to help her. Even though those things hadn't allowed her to break through, they had prepared her well. That stored energy had been waiting within her. Now, with her fully awakened Taiyin bloodline, there were no more obstacles. The energy came out on its own, combined with the remaining energy from the fusion and awakening, pushing her to the seventh level of the supernatural realm without any resistance. Looks like it's over. Chuan sighed in relief as her breathing gradually calmed. Ning Yuxi slowly opened her eyes, but just when it seemed like it was over for both of them, things took another turn. Ning Yuxi's expression changed. The surge in cultivation and the awakened Taiyin blood had thrown her yin and yang out of balance. The Taiyin power took over, suddenly exploding and affecting her mind. Ning Yuxi's face flushed red, and she trembled, trying to suppress something. Hey! She only managed it for a moment. Then, Ning Yuxi lost control, her red lips parting as she let out a cry that shook Chuan's soul. She suddenly lunged at him, greedily absorbing the power radiating from his body. She wanted to merge with him. This. Chuan was stunned. He never expected Ning Yuxi to react this way to so much Taiyin power. He didn't know what to do. Mr. Su, help me. Ning Yuxi looked at Chuan with glazed eyes, her every move filled with seductive charm. Right now, Chuan, with his potent energy, was irresistibly attractive to her. She desperately needed his solar power to balance the Taiyin within her. That's why she was acting this way. Chuan understood immediately, took a deep breath, helped Ning Yuxi sit up, and then channeled his solar power into her to balance the Taiyin. He wouldn't take advantage of her vulnerability. That wasn't who he was. He considered himself a good person. That's why he had died trying to save a kid from drowning back in his previous life. Even after being in this world for so long and seeing some crazy things, his values hadn't changed. With Su Chuan's solar power, the yin and yang in Ning Yuxi's body balanced out, and she slowly regained her senses. She looked at Su Chuan and blushed. She remembered everything that had happened, losing control and jumping on him, making those sounds. Su Chuan hadn't taken advantage of her, but had used his energy to help her. She was incredibly grateful, and relieved. She knew exactly what had happened. Anyone else might not have been able to resist. She was confident in her own attractiveness, but Su Chuan had remained calm. This only made her trust him even more. Her respect for him soared. Chapter 050. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thanks for what you did back there, Mr. Su. If it wasn't for you. Ning Yuxi's cheeks flushed slightly as she trailed off, unable to finish the sentence, but they both knew what she meant. No problem. We're friends, right? Friends help each other out. Su Chuan smiled gently. Ning Yuxi nodded, agreeing wholeheartedly. She didn't linger on the subject, but the incident had planted a seed in her heart. She'd never been that close to a man before, and Su Chuan was the first, and she hadn't resisted. It was clear Su Chuan had made a real impression. Now that I've fully integrated with the Taiyin source, what's next for you? Su Chuan asked. My mission is complete, and I don't need anything more. But you have a ton of sun power, Mr. Su. You should try refining this sun essence. I think it would be a huge help to you. You can definitely put it to good use. Ning Yuxi said, collecting her thoughts. That's what I was thinking. Su Chuan replied. He was determined to get his hands on the sun source. Even if Ning Yuxi hadn't suggested it, he was ready to start the refining process. The Xianyang Ju in his body was practically vibrating with anticipation. It clearly wanted the sun source badly. In that case, please start right away, Mr. Su. Let me protect you this time, as a way to repay your earlier help. Ning Yuxi offered. Okay. Su Chuan agreed without hesitation. He could tell Ning Yuxi was the type who hated being in debt. They were alike in that way. Stepping up to the sun source, Su Chuan's eyes were bright with anticipation. The opportunity was right in front of him. Now it was up to him to seize it. All right. Taking a deep breath, he channeled the Xianyang Ju, transforming into a golden ray and diving into the sun source. A majestic figure emerged from the sun source under Ning Yuxi's watchful eye. This signaled the start of Su Chuan's attempt to refine the sun source. Inside the sun source, Su Chuan was in agony. While the great sun power cultivated by the Xianyang Ju came from the same origin as the sun, his cultivation level was just too low, and the raw power contained within the sun source was immense. Unlike Ning Yuxi, he didn't possess the Taiyin bloodline to ease the process. As a result, all that raw power was now hammering against his body. The source's power flooded him, tearing through his body like a raging river overflowing its banks. The raw power accumulated within him. With nowhere to go, the Xianyang Ju was constantly refining and suppressing it, but it was barely making a dent. Arg! Despite Su Chuan's iron will, he couldn't help but scream in pain, but even then, he refused to give up. He continued to absorb the source's power into his body. Mr. Su. Ning Yuxi, hearing his screams, covered her face and cried out in worry. She even wanted to tell him to stop, but the words wouldn't come out. Discouraging someone at this point was no different than robbing them of their opportunity or blocking their path. It could easily lead to resentment, so she could only pray for Su Chuan in her heart. Fortunately, the pain didn't last forever. Little by little, things began to change. As the raw power continued to be refined and compressed, the new sun energy began to transform Su Chuan's body. The rate at which Xianyang Ju refined the raw power increased dramatically. It was a positive feedback loop. If this keeps up, a physical transformation isn't far off. Su Chuan thought. His spirits lifted and his confidence renewed. He sped up the absorption of the source. More and more of the sun source was being refined. Many of Su Chuan's bones turned golden, radiating a divine light. He was sure that as soon as all of his bones and meridians were completely gold, his physique would transform into the holy body of the sun. Crack! A day later. The sun source was completely absorbed by Su Chuan, and a terrifying cracking sound echoed. To Ning Yuxi's astonishment, cracks started appearing all over Su Chuan's body. His body was breaking apart, but strangely, not a single drop of blood flowed from the cracks. Instead, a burst of incredibly intense true sun flames erupted from nowhere and enveloped his shattered body. He transformed into a massive cocoon of flames. Another day passed, the giant flame cocoon slowly died down, revealing Su Chuan inside. He looked like a completely different person. Su Chuan was already handsome, but now he was even more so. The only downside was that all the hair on his body had been burned off. He was bald as an egg. Pfft. Ha ha ha. Not seeing Su Chuan's appearance, even Ning Yusi couldn't help but burst out laughing. Confused, Su Chuan summoned a water mirror and examined his reflection. His face instantly fell, a lifetime of good looks, ruined in a single day. He hastily channeled his energy to regrow his hair and eyebrows, quickly returning to his former glory. Ning Yusi stopped laughing. She could see that Su Chuan had successfully refined the sun source. Su Chuan, meanwhile, was getting a feel for his new body. Is this the holy body of the sun? He clenched his fists, feeling the incredible changes that had taken place within him. This body was incredibly powerful, every movement was imbued with boundless energy, and that wasn't all. After completely absorbing the sun source, Su Chuan's cultivation level began to skyrocket, just like Ning Yusi's had. 4th level of mortal realm, 5th level, 6th level, boom. Even as he broke through to the 7th level, his progress showed no signs of slowing down. Su Chuan had already formed the true soul seeds of martial arts. There were no bottlenecks before the reincarnation realm. All he needed was Yuan energy. Now that he had refined the sun source, and had no shortage of energy, he was making rapid breakthroughs. It didn't take long for Su Chuan to break through to the 9th level of the mortal transformation realm. He was one step away from entering the magical realm, but Su Chuan wasn't in a hurry. Breaking through the transformation realm quickly was fine. He had the foundation for it and it wouldn't cause any problems down the line. Among the 9 realms of martial arts, the first 3 were all about laying the foundation for future practice, and the middle 3 were about building something great on that foundation. Only when you reached the last 3 realms could you be considered to have truly found your own path in martial arts. As the first of the middle 3 realms, the magical power realm represented a major leap forward. Breaking through to this realm would grant you your own unique innate magical powers. The stronger your foundation, the stronger your innate magical power would be. So, Su Chuan suppressed the urge to advance, and stabilized his realm at the peak of the 9th level. Only after he had built an incredibly solid foundation in the first 3 realms would he choose to advance to the magical realm. Taking a deep breath, Su Chuan slowly descended, feeling the profound changes in his body. Even Su Chuan couldn't help but grin. On this trip, he had not only broken through to the 9th level of the mortal transformation realm, but he had also completely transformed his physique into the sacred sun body. A heaven-defying physique. It had been a truly fruitful harvest.